Okay, I came up with one, but what's yours? Maybe it's better.
Mine is, Sal, were you mad at Aaron Boone for taking Fried out when he did last night?
That was not mine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was mad, but I also, there's a point where you understand, I don't want him to throw 130 or 40 pitches, I guess, right? Because, honestly, at some point, they start hitting him. You're like, why did he keep him in? He's throwing so many pitches. And I don't want to be that guy, right? So I get it. 100 pitched a lot, but he was still pitching well. It was in the 7th inning. He started that inning. It was just over 100. It wasn't super duper high, but I know that, these days. So yes, I was upset about it. I was more upset that they just could not get runs when they had. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was also upset when they couldn't get runs. But yes, I was upset about it at that point. I thought that he should have stayed in it, at least finish that inning.
Makes it even maybe a little worse. I mean, I don't want to tell you how you should have felt, but that the Red Sox went with Crochet as long as they did.
100%.
117 pitches. Yep. I don't know. I was not expecting him to go out for the 8th. When he went in the dugout after the 7th, I thought, all right, you got the other guy in there, but he went in there, got 2 outs, and brought in the other lefty out of the pen, and it worked out. But yeah.
Way to flick Sal in the back of the ear to start the conversation.
Oh yeah,
I mean, really.
I've been dealing with it all today. I got it from Joe and Jeremy this morning. I got it from Zach, an Extra Point show. I get it from you. It's okay. That's the life we live. It's okay.
Look, I'm wearing my Red Sox cap for a second day in a row, and they're in a playoff series. So yeah, man, I gotta lead off with the Yankees.
I did not know that until I heard this morning, and I guess it's the 14 different playoff series, the wild card series like this. The team that lost the first game has never come back and won the series yet.
Well, history is meant to be, rewritten or something. But, Bulldog starting with I got an idea. Were you mad at Aaron Boone? It reminds me of a kid I knew in college who was a Giants fan. And I came home to watch Super Bowl 25 with my friends and family. And for some reason, he had my phone number. And when the Bills lost, immediately the phone rang, and it was Sean. It was this kid who was like, "Did you guys enjoy the game?" That Bulldog didn't quite go that far, but that was such a jerk move to do that. I've never forgotten him because of that. No, that's fine. It's good. We're off and running. My idea was, Wednesday, injury report, what's different today? Jackson Hawes is on it, and I wanted to talk about him. And I almost think every conversation should start with him. For a while, because here's this 5th-round pick who is, absolutely making waves, catching a couple passes, but the blocking, Twitter these days where you can watch just clips of guys everywhere around the league, he's a sight to see. So What have we got here in terms of an injury? And then I want to ask you a couple more things maybe about him.
Well, he's listed with an ankle injury, limited. And I have to be honest with you guys, first of all, we didn't know that going into practice because Sean McDermott didn't list him. He did say several players will be limited, and he didn't mention anybody specifically, so I guess that's why, because he actually didn't even mention Brown, Milano, or Oliver. I guess he did, but we had to kind of say, somebody followed up. I think Matt Bovee is like, hey, just to kind of clarify, Brown, Milano, and Oliver while we're doing something today, right? And he's like, yeah, they'll be limited. So it kind of left it open-ended. That being said, I actually saw him in the locker room after practice and just kind of walked by him and didn't talk to him very much. We said hello to each other, I could tell you that, but it wasn't anything I noticed going on with him. So my sense is that it's just he's limited today, and we'll see where it goes throughout the week, and hopefully everything's okay. But that was even after practice when I saw him. So yeah, that's on the injury, and he joined Brown and Milano and Oliver as limited today. Dorian Williams did not practice with what they say is a knee injury.
Jackson Hawes, Highland High School in Salt Lake City. Haloti Ngata went to the same high school. He's from Utah. We've heard now how, who was it, Aaron Cromer or someone else said he was the best blocking tight end they've ever scouted. It's a 5th-round pick. I wonder, and this kind of thing grows if the player grows in stature, but I don't know, just to get the question out, did everybody go to bed Friday night at the draft dreaming that he would be on the board when it was their pick? To what extent were the Bills sort of ready to pick this player? Almost no pass receiving production at all as a college player, but they liked what they knew about him, what they saw in him, and I just sort of wonder how deep it ran.
So I think it's a really good question. I don't know the intricacies, and we could find that out, and I could, of how deep it ran, as you put it. but I would tell you this. First of all, it was Aaron Kromer who said, what he said was he's the best blocking tight end he's ever coached. And then Joe Brady said he's the best blocking tight end we've ever scouted.
Okay, good.
So two different things there, because two guys from two different positions, right? And where their careers have taken them. I would tell you that from the outside looking in, without knowing the exact answer to your question, I think the Bills absolutely wanted to add a blocking tight end to this offense. And maybe they don't get one to the draft, so they find one in free agency they like. I think the Bills really believed after last year, 6 offensive linemen, Alec Anderson. We talked about this immediately after the draft. And whereas they're using Alec Anderson as that 6th offensive lineman, they led the league in that last year. I think the Bills went into this offseason and said, hey, instead of doing that, why don't we grab a tight end who can do it? Then we can actually throw him the ball. And they find their way to this guy. So when you draft him in the 5th round, you say those things, I'm pretty sure they really liked him a lot, wanted him. Now, it doesn't mean he's going to be there, and you still have to do the value on him. Are you going to take him in the 2nd round? No. So you take him, there because he's a guy that you want that spot. You want a guy who you can rely on to be that 13 personnel, 3rd tight end, come in. And when he was drafted even, we were told, hey, he can actually catch some passes. Like, he's not this guy that's just going to sit there. Like, they didn't say this. I'll say this. He's not Lee Smith to me, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's, I don't think I said it at the time, right? But because there was so much about the draft and it was so much defense. Yeah. But in my head, I'm sure I thought, they just drafted Lee Smith in the 5th round. What are we doing?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Which, I don't need to admit that I thought that, but I'm sure I thought it. Like, what are we doing here? I drafted a blocking sled. Come on.
Because he was portrayed like that by everybody. Yeah. And you look at the stats and it goes, but then you watch him, and this is the thing that we don't get to see totally, right? We do with some of the higher picks. I didn't know about a tight end out of Yale that went to Georgia Tech after his 4 years, and this is the stuff that we don't see. Like, they see the athleticism, they're scouting, they're watching and going, this guy's actually a good athlete, he can play. Like, we can put him on the field, we can throw him a pass. And then once he comes to rookie camp, I remember this though, guys. I remember going to rookie camp, and because it's rookie camp, he's like the only tight end out there, right? 'Cause Dalton can't be out there, and Dawson. Maybe there was somebody else, and it wasn't really the only one. Yeah. But it's the only one really making the roster. So you know what they did? They threw him a bunch of passes because he's like, we got to get this guy going because he's the only guy out here. It's his only time to catch passes. And he was catching passes. And I'm like, he can actually catch some passes. He can run some routes. Maybe they got a little more here, and I think the Bills recognize that a little bit more as well. So, now he fits into the offense even more. He fits in where he can actually catch some passes, and he can pose a little bit more of a threat. If he's on the field, you think, okay, he's going to block, but all of a sudden he leaks out, he sneaks out, and you get what you get against New Orleans, which is 1 target, 1 catch, but that went for, 20-plus yards, which is really nice.
So summing it all up, not only is he kind of a fun story and the background is interesting, the role is interesting, but the bottom line here is I think, maybe not as important as any other player on the offense, but he's up there, right? I mean, this is an important role that they sought out and found maybe the perfect guy for. Here's Alec Anderson, but he can catch. And we can do so many more things out of our stuff with him on the field. They're using fullbacks with him too sometimes, or fullbacks with multiple tight ends. And they're just sort of furthering what they were good at last year. And so far, so good.
Yeah, they actually have, I think they've run more 13 than any team in the league, but they haven't run as much 12 this year, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. It's either 13 or they actually run 11, 1 tight end on the field, 1 running back, 1 tight end. And they're very good, according to the analytics, at running, believe it or not, with only 1 tight end on the field. So I guess to me, it doesn't have to be about what's one or the other. They just have options. They can really do a lot of different things, which is what they've always wanted. I remember going back to, Ken Dorsey, being the offensive coordinator, and really them always talking about just wanting to have options to dictate what the defense has to do and put the defense in a bind. And maybe they didn't get there quite enough. And then they draft Dalton Kincaid, and it doesn't quite get there the way they want it to. And now I really see you're thinking the full vision of what they've wanted from this offense when it comes to personnel groupings, and just saying we can throw a lot of different groupings at you, and you're going to have to respond. And due to that response, we're going to be able to do some things that we like because we're not afraid to throw it to those guys, and we're certainly not afraid to run it with those guys.
I'm not sure how much this is to even say, but because we're not going to find an answer to it for maybe a long time. It's more like an off-season quest, I think. just how much of a sweat it was on Saturday at the draft. Like how early were they thinking, maybe we better, was it the fourth round? Just pick by pick coming off the board. Like if this was a guy they really had targeted for this very specific role that he's walked right into as a rookie and is flourishing, like that's rare for a Saturday pick to be that guy. And I wonder if they were tempted to rush it. Maybe they even did. Maybe they had seventh round grade on him and just went like, we got to do it now because I'm worried about whomever like getting smart to this.
That's what's so interesting to me about this player, because it might be that. And I don't know where you exactly go to determine this, but maybe most teams would not have had him on their board at all. Like somebody that plays this role. Why do we need this? Passing league and everything like that.
Find this guy on the street.
16 total catches in college. Right. Like he's their UDFA. And so that would be my guess, is that the Bills, by the fifth round, they're like, the fourth round, we're not worried about this. Or even Friday, we're not worried about getting sniped on Jackson Hawes. But fifth round, you know what? We have a pretty good team here. If we like them, let's do it. And it wasn't, how could you blame them? Even if it was supposed to be, you never know with drafts when he was supposed to go. So anyway, I love that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting puzzle too, because blocking tight end, can you justify taking the second or third round? No. Generally, though, those are guys that you want to make an impact more quickly. And what we've seen that hasn't happened, one, due to injury, obviously, but we've talked a lot about Landon Jackson, even TJ Sanders. The Bills just have this roster, though, where it's tough for guys to do that. It just is. It's tough for guys to come in as second and third round picks and make impacts right away on a roster that's pretty deep and good and contending for a Super Bowl. It's just the reality of it. As much as people want to see it, I get it, but that's not the case. But here's a specific player, specific role that you get in the fifth round that actually can come in and make an impact. And you're not drafting for depth. You're drafting for literally a specific role, but yet his role only requires him to have a late round pick on him. So it's fascinating, and I agree with you.
By the way, Mike Giardi, Boston Sports Journal, who will be on our show tomorrow, points out that the Bills have run 22 personnel. So Gilliam probably, right?
Halfback, fullbacks. Yeah, right.
14% of their snaps, 33 snaps this year have been.
And by the way, they've run all three tight ends and Gilliam at the same time on the field. You think about that, right? And
that is jumbo.
That is really right. And,
we're going to need some more digits for that.
And you can throw out of that too, which is kind of crazy, right? And that's kind of what the Bills have wanted to do, which is just basically say you have no idea what's coming right now.
It really is something that we're a month in here, and seeing his name show up on the injury report, it's like, I hope he's okay. Like a month ago, I would not have given him the time of day. Honestly, I'm just being real here. Is not someone, despite all of this, we talked about this at the draft and what you thought their plan was for him, and you couldn't have been more right, as it turns out. But even still, it's just like, whatever. And now a month in, like, man, I hope he's okay.
I think I'm already looking ahead to the Monday morning after next year's draft, and the Bills will have scored their 30 points a game again, and they'll have let Elijah Moore go. No targets on Sunday. They'll have let, one or two other receivers go, not signed anybody, not drafted any, and then, the morning guys are talking, and there's Brandon Beane on the hotline. You guys want to do this again? Just 30 points a game? 3? What do you want now? Want to see 4? Want to see 4 tight ends? Because I'll do it. Anyway. We'll see what happens. You got to look at practice today. Oliver and Milano, both on the field.
Yeah, both out there at practice today. Didn't seem like, I don't know, I think Ed might have had a little wrap on it. Like no brace or anything like that,
right.
On his ankle. And he was working on the field with a regular blue practice jersey. Same thing with Matt Milano, and he was moving well. Now, remember, Milano's, it's a pack, right? So whether he's got something there, you can't really tell necessarily under the pads, but there was nothing inhibiting him. In fact, I used to have video of him attacking a bag and tackling a bag, so that was good as well. That seemed good. And then Spencer Brown was practicing today as well. So really, all three of their starters who've been banged up are back. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be playing. We did talk to Ed Oliver after practice, and he kind of didn't give us a clue on it, and we're just asking him, how do you, what do you think, and what happened, and all that, and it is what it is. It is what it is. It's football. And then someone actually specifically did say, like, what happened? And he said, well, what were you guys told? Is what he said, basically.
Let's get our story straight.
You got stepped on. He's like, I got stepped on. That's right. I got stepped on. So, yeah, he said he got stepped on. He said it's football. Things like that happen. Frustrating for him. And he felt he played really well against Baltimore. And I agree, obviously. And because I think it showed. And, this play, he was one of the better players on the field that night. And, I think he was really just kind of frustrated he wasn't able to pick up right where he left off the next week. But, guys, there's no guarantee he's going to play this week either. I just think even talking to him, we'll see where it goes day by day, one day at a time. I think Milano might be a little different there. I would say, though, Milano would be, if he's going to play, he's probably on the field a lot, where Oliver's going to be in a rotation. So there's probably a lot of decisions to be made there.
No Dorian Williams, maybe?
No Dorian Williams, and that might, maybe that's where, okay, well, is Matt good? Then he can play, and, you don't have his backup. But honestly, at this point, I think Shaq Thompson could very well be the main backup to Matt Milano. And I mean, Dorian was, until he got hurt a little bit, came out of the game late on Sunday. But I really think that Shaq Thompson's played a valuable role for this team, and I wouldn't be surprised if, they go into this game, it's Milano and it's Thompson. And I think Shaq Thompson has earned and shown that he can be on the field and they can trust him, and why not? But even at his older age here, that he's making some impactful plays.
McDermott made a comment yesterday, sorry, Bulldog, that it sounded like he was really fond of Thompson. This is a guy that they really wanted here. Another one.
Well, first round pick when he was in Carolina, right? I mean, Sean. So Sean has a very long history and successful history with this player. Knows him intimately, knows him very well. Guy that they wanted to bring in, I think, to look, this is again the response to what offenses are doing, going back to the Bills. Teams are having to figure this out against the Bills on how to play their heavier personnel. But guys, teams are doing it against the Bills now. The Bills are seeing a lot more heavier personnel than they have in the past. I talked with Shaq about this after the game on Sunday, and I said, it seems as though teams are playing more heavier personnel against you guys. And now he wasn't here last year, right? But, he said that's just the trend in the league and what teams are doing. And they're going a little heavier, and you got to be prepared for that. And I just think, so Jackson Hawes is a great example of how I think specifically they targeted a guy like Jackson Hawes to do that on offense. I think they specifically targeted Shaq Thompson to be able to have that response on defense, to be honest with you.
I feel like every time I noticed him Sunday, it was for a good reason.
Yeah, Bulldog, he brings a lot to the party, as they say, when he hits somebody. I mean, he makes a play, a hit, it seems like in each game, that gets his teammates energized and shows that he's there to play and he understands the position. He is a linebacker, right? This is kind of an old school linebacker in a new school NFL, and he plays it. He is a tweener. That's what he is. He was kind of a safety linebacker when he came in the league, big nickel safety. And he's not as much of a safety anymore. He's a little bit older, but he's still a really good athlete. He knows all three linebacker. That's what allows him to play all three linebacker positions. He can go sideline to sideline. He can go downhill. I don't know if you want him necessarily right now playing, full 60, 70 plays in a game, but he could do it if you asked him to.
I'm not sure there's enough time left or any interest on your part, Sal, to play our game today of
What's your game?
Your perfect AFC playoff bracket with the Bills in mind, like what the Bills would draw up, secretly to have be what's also realistic. And, if you want to do this just for fun and share with us, you can. I think maybe looking at the AFC right now, one wish from Bills fans, if not the Bills too, would be to bury the Ravens. Last week it's Ravens, Chiefs, what do you want? You sort of go back and forth. But now they're at 3 losses and without Lamar Jackson and so many injuries, and they'll get Jackson back. They'll get some of those guys back. And if they get in, they're, I would think, very live. So maybe you just want to see them pile up losses.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that if you want, I don't know if you guys even think this is realistic at this point, to be honest with you, but I'm thinking about the Bills, if they get in as the top seed, or even let's say they're number 2 and they have to face somebody at home, a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals, right, would be probably something. I know they have a lot of other talent, but their defense isn't very good. Now, I don't even know if you think that's realistic at this point, to be honest
back
with you.
I think he'll be
back.
Right,
but that's the other thing. If he comes back 3 months, but it's a minimum 3 months, is he actually ready to play at that point? I don't know.
That team looks so finished on Monday night. I mean, they just look like they know they ain't got it, and they're not going to make it out without Burrow. And so we'll see. That's a lot to say. I mean, it's just one game, but they look like they're toast.
But can you find 6 I mean, 7 good teams in the AFC. Can you find enough to Sal's point, maybe just like rule out the Bengals? Maybe you can.
Somebody's got to win the South, right?
Right.
And okay, and I shouldn't say that because Indy has looked good. They have looked good. But would you really be deathly scared of the Colts coming here for a playoff game right now? I mean, they have done some nice things. They look good and they can run the football, but that just does not seem to me to be like a threatening position to be in versus a lot of other teams. The Chargers are always this team. We're always doing this with the Chargers. But then they go into New York and look, it's not just their tackles. Yes, that's a big part of it. But it just seems like they're not a team that's going to run away from you ever. So, you're always going to have if they have less margin for error, I think, because they can't run away from you. And it might be because of the tackles, but Justin Herbert's completion percentage was terrible on Sunday against the Giants. So
tackles are both hurt.
Yeah, how long is Alt? Slater's out for the year. Is Alt
weeks? I think a couple weeks.
Okay,
not great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sal.
You got it, guys.
That's our dude Sal Capaccio on the West Her Hotline. His appearances are always brought